There's nothing quite as intense as a TV fandom turning against a badly introduced character. One wrong move and viewers turn ruthless. Just ask anyone who still feels their blood pressure rise at the memory of Ross saying, "I take thee, Rachel," instead of Emily. When Emily Waltham entered Friends midway through season 4 as Ross's new love interest, she was clearly designed to stall the inevitable Ross and Rachel reunion. On paper, that's fine. In practice, it was painfully obvious and audiences saw right through it. Worse, the show itself treated Emily like a mistake before viewers even had a chance to decide for themselves. When the characters are already rolling their eyes at Ross's choice, there's nothing left for the audience to uncover. Emily stuck around for 14 episodes, and every one of them tested viewers' patience. She came across as deeply insecure, especially about Rachel, to the point where she demanded Ross erase nearly every trace of his past relationship. He was expected to replace furniture, personal items, and memories just to reassure her. None of it made Ross look good, and none of it made Emily sympathetic. The storyline felt forced and nonsensical, and by season 5 she was written out entirely. According to Friends director James Burrows' memoir, the problem wasn't the writing but the performance. He described Helen Baxendale as pleasant but not especially funny, claiming David Schwimmer had no one to play off. That explanation felt like a convenient deflection. Baxendale, for her part, continued working steadily afterward and seemed unaffected by the backlash. A similar fate awaited Paul Sparks on House of Cards. Introduced in season 3 as acclaimed author Tom Yates, Sparks' character was meant to add depth and intrigue. Yates was riding the success of his novel Scorpio and was recruited to write propaganda for President Underwood's administration. The setup had potential, but the execution fell flat. Yates wasn't compelling, and his primary function became serving as Claire Underwood's lover. The affair went nowhere narratively, and by season 5, Claire eliminated him entirely. She poisoned him after realizing she had shared too many secrets, calmly watching him die during an intimate moment. Ironically, it was the most memorable thing the character ever did. Sparks later described the role as controversial, but said he enjoyed the experience. Controversial is one word for it. Forgettable might be more accurate. Angel was once a fan favorite on Buffy the Vampire Slayer before headlining his own spin-off. The series held strong until season 3, when his son Connor appeared. Connor's backstory was absurdly complicated. Kidnapped as a baby, raised in a hell dimension, and returned to Earth as a hostile teenager within months due to time distortion, he embodied melodrama at its worst. One moment he was an infant, the next he was a brooding, angry teen filled with resentment toward his father. Connor existed almost entirely to manufacture conflict. His season 4 relationship with Cordelia, a character who had known him as a baby, deeply unsettled viewers. Years later, Charisma Carpenter suggested the storyline may have been retaliation from creator Joss Whedon after she became pregnant. The revelation made the arc even more disturbing in hindsight. Connor disappeared in season 5, and few mourned his exit. On Frasier, Daphne Moon's mother Gertrude arrived in season 7 and immediately overstayed her welcome. Written as manipulative, cruel, and overbearing, Gertrude bore little resemblance to her warm-hearted daughter. She lingered through the final seasons, even moving in with Daphne and Niles and getting a job at the group's favorite hangout. Fans were vocal in their disdain. One online post described her presence as unbearable, blaming her shrill voice and abrasive personality. Eventually, Gertrude vanished almost entirely, appearing briefly at Daphne's baby shower before disappearing for good. Jack Bauer saved the world repeatedly on 24, but his daughter Kim consistently dragged the series down. Portrayed by Alicia Cuthbert, Kim became infamous for making catastrophically bad decisions. She was less a character and more a perpetual hostage. The infamous cougar scene in season 2 became a symbol of the show's worst excesses. Even Cuthbert admitted the moment felt pointless and foolish. By season 3, Kim somehow became a CTU analyst, stretching credibility beyond repair. The writers struggled to justify her presence, and viewers paid the price. Homeland introduced Dana Brody as the troubled teenage daughter of a returning war hero. Instead of nuance, viewers got a bundle of cliches. Dana was moody, withdrawn, and relentlessly miserable. Fan hatred exploded online, with some demanding her immediate removal. The criticism often crossed the line, targeting actress Morgan Saylor directly. She handled it with maturity, noting that not all characters are meant to be liked and that the reaction said more about the audience than her. Reboots are risky and just like that proved it. The revival of Sex and the City introduced Che Diaz, intended as a bold, modern character. Instead, Che came across as arrogant and painfully unfunny. Despite being described as a wildly successful comedian and podcaster, Che never delivered a single memorable joke. A comedy club scene where Che roasted Miranda highlighted the disconnect between what the show claimed and what viewers actually saw. Audiences felt manipulated. Even Sarah Jessica Parker admitted she was surprised by the backlash. Che was quietly written out by Season 3. Lost experimented with new characters Nikki and Paolo in Season 3, pretending they had been present all along. Viewers weren't buying it. The pair added nothing to the narrative, and fan backlash was swift. The writers responded with Exposé, an episode dedicated entirely to killing them off. Paralyzed by spider venom and buried alive, their exit was as brutal as it was definitive. The Cosby Show faced declining momentum in its later seasons and introduced Pam Tucker to recapture earlier teen-focused storylines. Instead, the shift revived stereotypes the series had once dismantled. Pam dominated screen time while the original characters faded, leaving the show preachy and unfocused. The experiment failed, and the series ended shortly afterward. Sherlock stumbled when Mary Morstan entered the picture. Fans felt her presence disrupted the delicate balance between Sherlock and Watson. When Mary was revealed to be a former assassin, the show veered into spy thriller territory, alienating viewers. Her death in Season 4 removed the problem but created a new one, fracturing the central partnership that defined the series. Star Trek: The Next Generation introduced Wesley Crusher, a boy genius who routinely outshone seasoned officers. His constant success and lack of consequences irritated fans. Even the show acknowledged the backlash with Captain Picard's now-famous reprimand. Wesley left as a regular after Season 4, though the criticism lingered for years. Married with Children briefly introduced Seven, a child character who didn't fit the show's tone. After a dozen episodes, he vanished without explanation, and the series recovered immediately. Heroes struggled after its breakout first season. Maya Herrera was meant to expand the mythology but instead felt disconnected and underdeveloped. The writer's strike shortened the season, and the character was quietly written out. Gilmore Girls fractured its central romance by